You walk into a room and she doesn't see you. Her eyes scan past you like your furniture. You watch her light up for someone else, someone who said less, did less, tried less. And well, you're left standing there wondering what he has that you don't. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Selective women are not rejecting you because you're not good enough. They're rejecting you because you're playing a game you don't understand. You think attraction is about being nice, being present, being honest about your feelings. Those things might work on women who settle, but a woman with options, a woman who has men competing for her attention, a woman who's been approached by hundreds of guys with the same tired script, she operates on a completely different frequency. The world of attraction is divided into two categories: the men she remembers and the men she forgets before the conversation ends. You've been living in the second category, and it's not your fault. You were taught that romance is about grand gestures and vulnerability. You were told to just be yourself. That advice is a trap designed to keep you exactly where you are. Niccolo Machiavelli understood human nature at its rawest level. 5 centuries ago he wrote The Prince not as a guide for tyrants, but as a mirror held up to reality. He saw that people are governed by emotion disguised as logic, by ego wrapped in morality. The same principles that govern kingdoms govern desire. If you want to become irresistible to a selective woman, you really cannot afford to be naive about what actually creates attraction. You need to understand, well, the invisible architecture of desire. In the next few minutes, we're going to dismantle everything you think you know about attracting high-value women. These are not tips, these are not suggestions, these are laws of human psychology that have governed seduction since, honestly, the beginning of time. By the end of this, you will never look at a beautiful, selective woman and feel powerless again. You will see the game, and once you see it, you can play it. But fair warning, once you understand these laws, you cannot unknow them. The illusion will shatter. There is no going back to innocent hoping and wishing. Let's begin. Law 1. Never display thirst. The first mistake you make is showing interest too early. You see a woman you're attracted to and, well, your entire body language just screams it. You lean in way too close. You laugh a bit too hard at her jokes. You text back immediately without even thinking. And honestly, you make yourself available whenever she so much as hints at making plans. You might think this shows dedication, but actually it just broadcasts desperation. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived." But, selective women are not simple. They've been deceived before, they've seen every trick. This creates what psychologists call the uncertain reward dynamic. And honestly, it's the same mechanism that makes gambling so addictive. She doesn't really know if she has you, so her brain, well, it becomes obsessed with winning you. The moment you stop chasing, you actually become worth chasing. Law 2, the paradox of detachment. You've probably been told to care deeply, to show your emotions, to let her know she matters. And, this works in movies, but in reality, the person who cares less controls the dynamic. This isn't about cruelty, it's about equilibrium. Selective women are, quite frankly, constantly managing men's emotions. Needy men, insecure men, men who need validation, men who fall apart when she doesn't text back. It's exhausting, really. When you show up emotionally self-sufficient, when your mood doesn't fluctuate based on her attention, you become a rare anomaly. You become the man who doesn't need her to complete him. The psychological principle here is called reactance theory. When people feel their freedom is threatened, they desire it more. If she feels you pulling away, if she senses you're fine without her, her instinct is to pull you back in. But this only works if your detachment is genuine. If it's an act, if you're secretly checking your phone every 5 minutes hoping she texted, she will sense the performance. True detachment comes from having a mission that matters more than any woman. Build something, create something, pursue something that would still matter even if she disappeared tomorrow. When she realizes she's competing with your purpose instead of just other women, the game changes entirely. Warning, detachment is not coldness. It's not ignoring her or being dismissive. It's being present when you're with her and unaffected when you're not. Law 3. Scarcity is the only aphrodisiac. You think, spending more time with her will make her like you more, but actually, this is backwards. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort, well, it kills desire. Selective women don't want comfort in the beginning. What they really want is mystery. They want uncertainty, and honestly, they want the high of not knowing when they'll see you again. Every minute you're available is a minute you're not building value. Every text you send immediately is a text that confirms you have nothing better to do. The economic law of supply and demand, it applies perfectly to human attention. flood the market and the price crashes. But when you create scarcity, the value skyrockets. When you limit your availability strategically, not out of games but out of genuine priorities, you force her to compete with your life. She starts to wonder, what is he doing? Who is he with? Why isn't he texting me? These questions occupy mental real estate, and what occupies her mind influences her heart. Never let her feel like she has unlimited access to you. The moment she feels certain of your availability, desire begins to fade. Law 4. Emotional unpredictability. Nice guys finish last because they are predictable. She knows exactly how you'll react to everything. You'll be supportive. You'll be understanding. You'll agree with her. You'll validate her emotions. You're safe. And, safe is the opposite of exciting. Selective women are attracted to emotional range, not chaos but variety. Sometimes you're playful, sometimes you're serious, sometimes you challenge her, and sometimes you agree. You're not a dancing monkey performing for her approval. This creates what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, which is honestly the most powerful form of behavioral conditioning. When a reward comes at unpredictable intervals, the brain becomes obsessed with figuring out the pattern. She can't quite categorize you, she can't put you in a box. So, her mind keeps circling back, trying to solve the puzzle. But here's the nuance. Unpredictability without foundation is just instability. You need to be reliable in character while being varied in expression. She should know you're a man of your word, but she shouldn't be able to predict your mood, your availability, or your reactions. The moment she thinks she has you figured out, you've lost her interest. Law 5. Create jealousy without trying. You avoid mentioning other women because you think it will make you seem unfaithful or disloyal. This is a mistake born from scarcity thinking. Selective women, they're naturally drawn to men who are already desired by other women. It's called social proof, and honestly, it's one of the most powerful psychological triggers out there. Suddenly, you're not just some guy, you're a prize that others want. But look, this isn't about rubbing her face in your options. It's really about being honest about your reality. You have female friends. Women talk to you. You're not desperate or starved for female attention. The way to deploy this law is through casual mentions, not boasting. Something like, yeah, Sarah from work was telling me about, or my friend Kate suggested. These aren't threats. They're proof that women are comfortable around you, that you speak their language, that you're not just some isolated man waiting for this one woman to save you. But here's the critical warning. This must be real. Invented women or exaggerated stories will backfire catastrophically. She has a sixth sense for fabrication. So be truthful about the women in your orbit, but without being explicit about your intentions with them. When she knows you have options, she treats you like you have value. This is the law most men are just, too afraid to execute. You think if you stay patient, if you keep trying, if you just prove your worth long enough, she'll come around. She won't. Selective women respect boundaries more than persistence. When you sense she's not investing, not reciprocating, not matching your energy, you have one move that changes everything. Walk away. Not as a game, not as manipulation, but as self-respect. Machiavelli wrote about cutting losses before they become fatal. When you stay in a dynamic where you're giving 80% and she's giving 20%, you're teaching her that your time has no value. You're training her to disrespect you. The moment you withdraw, one of two things happens. She realizes what she's losing and course corrects, or she doesn't, and you've saved yourself months of wasted effort. The psychological principle is called loss aversion. People fear losing something more than they desire gaining something. When she realizes you're actually leaving, not threatening or pouting, but genuinely moving on, the equation shifts. What was once guaranteed is now scarce. What was once pursuing her is now indifferent. But you must be willing to lose her to gain her respect. If you're bluffing, if you walk away but keep checking if she noticed, the power evaporates. True walking away means you're genuinely okay with never hearing from her again. That freedom is what makes you irresistible. Sexual tension is not created through compliments or affection. It's created through unresolved energy. You stand close but don't touch. You hold eye contact a beat too long. You say something that could be flirtation or could be teasing, and you leave her unsure which one you meant. Most men rush to resolution. They confess feelings. They ask, what are we? They try to define the relationship because ambiguity makes them uncomfortable. But ambiguity is where desire lives. The moment everything is clear, predictable, and defined, the electricity dies. Selective women are bored by men who show all their cards. They're intrigued by men who keep them guessing. This doesn't mean being dishonest. It means being comfortable with uncertainty. It means not needing to lock things down immediately. It means enjoying the dance instead of rushing to the destination. The tactical application. When you're together, create moments that almost cross the line, but don't. Let your hand brush hers. Let a silence linger. Say something that makes her heart rate spike, then change the subject. You're building pressure without release. You're winding the spring tighter, and when the release finally comes, it's explosive. Selective women are attracted to decisiveness. When you ask, is this okay, or where do you want to eat, or can I kiss you, you're, well, subtly asking her to lead, and if she wanted to lead, she wouldn't be attracted to you. She wants a man who takes responsibility for the direction of the interaction. Now, this doesn't mean being domineering or, ignoring consent. It means being the architect of the experience. You choose the restaurant, you decide the activity, you read her signals, and escalate without asking for verbal permission at every micro step. If she's uncomfortable, she'll tell you. Selective women are not shy about their boundaries. What they can't stand is hesitation. When you hesitate, you signal that you're unsure of your value. You're checking if you have permission to exist in her space. Machiavelli advised, make your decision and then commit to it fully. Selective women are attracted to commitment, not to the decision itself, but to the conviction behind it. She's heard every line. She's been on 100 dates. She's been disappointed by men who seemed promising. If you show up with the same script, the same questions, the same energy as every other guy, you blend into the noise. To become irresistible, you must be categorically different, not weird, not try hard, just unexpected. This means listening when others talk, asking questions no one asks, sharing perspectives she's never heard, being vulnerable in ways that feel real, not performative. The psychology here is called the von Restov effect. Items that stand out from the group are more likely to be remembered. If you're just another guy who buys her drinks and compliments her eyes, you're invisible. If you challenge her ideas, tease her about something specific, share a story that reveals character depth, you become unforgettable. But here's the trap. Don't be different for the sake of being different. Be authentically yourself in a world where most men are performing. That authenticity is what cuts through. Selective women test you, not consciously but instinctively. They say something to see if you get jealous. They cancel plans to see if you get needy. They go cold to see if you panic. These are not games, these are calibration mechanisms. They're figuring out if you're solid or if you're fragile. The man who passes these tests is the man who doesn't react. She mentions another guy, you don't flinch. She cancels, you say no problem and make other plans. She goes distant, you give her space. Your emotional stability signals strength. Your reactivity signals weakness. This is emotional Aikido. You don't fight her tests. You don't even acknowledge them as tests. You simply remain unbothered. Machiavelli wrote about the importance of appearing unshakable. Selective women are attracted to men who cannot be destabilized by their moods. The tactical move when she does something that would normally upset you, pause, breathe, respond from a place of centeredness, not reaction. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means choosing when and how to express them. At the end of the day, attraction is not just about psychological tactics. It's about who you actually are. Selective women can smell insecurity covered by technique. They can sense when you're performing versus when you're embodying. If you want to be irresistible, become someone worth being attracted to. Build your career, develop your skills, cultivate interesting hobbies, maintain your physical health, have friends who respect you, have a life that would be fulfilling even if you never met her. This is not about impressing her. This is about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to impress anyone. When your value is real, it radiates. She feels it in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you move through the world. Machiavelli's deepest insight was that power must be real, not just performed. The same applies to attraction. You can fake confidence for a night, but sustained attraction requires substance. When there are other men in the picture, your instinct is to compete, to be funnier, richer, better looking. This is a losing strategy. The moment you compete, you've accepted that you're in the same category as them. Selective women don't want the best option. They want a different category entirely. Instead of competing, reframe the entire interaction. Don't try to out-compliment the guy who's showering her with praise. Be the guy who teases her. Don't try to outspend the guy buying her expensive dinners. Be the guy who takes her on an adventure she'll never forget. When you operate in your own frame, comparison becomes impossible. You're not better or worse. You're different, and different is what she remembers. And here we arrive at the final law, the one that makes all the others work. To become irresistible to selective women, you must not need them. Your happiness cannot depend on whether she texts back. Your self-worth cannot hinge on whether she chooses you. You must be so deeply rooted in your own value that her approval or rejection doesn't shake your foundation. This is not a tactic. This is a state of being. When you genuinely don't need her, when you're interacting from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, everything changes. Your voice deepens, your posture opens, your energy shifts, you stop performing and start being. Selective women are starving for this energy. Everyone around them wants something. Everyone is trying to win them. Everyone needs their validation. When you show up not needing anything, just offering your authentic presence, you become magnetic. The paradox is complete. To attract her, you must be willing to lose her. To win her attention, you must genuinely not care if you have it. Take a breath. Let these laws settle. I know what you're thinking. This seems calculated. This seems cold. This seems like I'm telling you to become someone you're not. But look at your results. Look at how being nice has worked out. Look at how being yourself has landed. The universe doesn't reward good intentions. It rewards understanding. It rewards those who see reality clearly and act accordingly. Machiavelli wasn't teaching evil, he was teaching truth. He looked at human nature without the rose-colored glasses and saw that we respond to strength, mystery, and value. Selective women are not different from anyone else. They're just more honest about what they want because they have the options to be selective. These laws are not about manipulating women. They're about understanding the invisible forces that govern attraction and aligning yourself with them. You have a choice. You can stay angry that the game exists, or you can learn to play it at the highest level. The 13 laws are not restrictions, they're liberation. They free you from the prison of hoping and wishing. They give you agency. They turn you from a passenger into a pilot. If you're done being invisible, if you're done being the nice guy who finishes last, if you're ready to become the man selective women actually desire, then make the decision right now. Don't just watch this and forget it. Click the subscribe button, not because you want to support the channel, but because you're making a contract with yourself. You're signaling that you refuse to stay stuck. You refuse to keep making the same mistakes. Welcome to a different level of the game.